Clea'ch first on the New York finish line. Wright conquers the women's Rio Pro. Canfield tops Copenhagen. And now in the newsroom, here is Mia Chiran. NC Sports, plunge into the action.
Welcome back, water sports fans. I'm Mia Chiran. Today on NC Sports, New York, Rio, Copenhagen, then Hayama, Japan, and Sotogrande in Spain. Once again, we're taking you on a world tour this week. You name it, we've got it. So here is today's lineup of top events. The Big Apple is still in the thick of the sailing action as more winners of the Transat reach the Hudson. Tyler Wright takes the win over Sally Fitzgibbons in the tricky wave conditions of the WSL Rio Pro. And then, what happens when marketing turns to stereotyping in women's surfing? Taylor Canfield and USOne top round 3 in the Copenhagen stopover of the World Match Racing Tour. Steinfath and Jackson conquer Hayama at the season opener of the 2016 Stand-Up World Series in Japan. Slovenia's team Ceeref topped the RC44 in Sotogrande. Sports politics. World sailing bosses vow to clean up the house in Lausanne, and a whole lot more. With the America's Cup and the arrival of the Maxi Trimarans last week, New York City has been hosting the very top sailing events this month. And the action just won't stop as the rest of the class leaders at the Transat Bakerley reach the finish line. With several dramas still unfolding in the high seas, the focus was on the Mocha 60 duel between the Clea'ch and Rio. To foil or not to foil offshore? That remains an open question, and we'll be bringing it up all the way to the end of the Vendée Globe in early 2017. So let's listen in to what the skippers had to say.
Stopping the clock at 12 days, 2 hours, 28 minutes and 39 seconds, Ahmed Clea'ch across the New York finish line as the first Mocha 60 of the Transat. Happy to break a second-place spell that began at the last Vendée Globe and continued in the Jacques Vabre, the French skipper expressed satisfaction for his now improved foiling monohull.
For me, it's a good choice because last year it was the first year with this boat. We had some little problem and we don't have all the good speed all the time, but now we make a step, and I hope it for me is the best boat for the next Vendée Globe, and I prove it during this race, so I'm very happy for me, for Banque Populaire, and this very nice boat.
In a tight Atlantic duel with Vincent Riou on PRB, Clea'ch did not really manage to open a gap, as just 30 nautical miles separated the pair on approach to New York, feeding further doubts on what will be the most effective configuration around the world. To foil or not to foil, that remains the open question. Admittedly, Riou made a mistake at Cape Finisterre and damaged some key sails which affected boat speed, so settling for second was already a victory.
I think during the Transat it's not the foiler or not foiler, it's the man who makes the difference. I think it's Armel will be the better during the race, and he wins the race, and it's normal. It's not because he sailed with a foiler.
At the center of the world's sailing stage, New York continued its arrivals parade. With a third-place finish, Jean-Pierre Dick on his foiling Saint-Michel Virbach sealed his comeback on the Mocha 60s. Preceded, however, by the first of the multi-50 class, French tech Rennes Saint-Malo, thanks to an exceptional performance by skipper Gilles Lamiré. In the Class 40, Frenchmen Thibaut Vauchel-Camus and Briton Phil Sharp on Maurice are now in attacking duel under a strong depression on approach to New York. This only after leader Isabelle Georges retired from the Transat Bakerley for damages sustained on her Generali Horizon Mixité. A big storm engulfed the fleet in mid-Atlantic, and among other dramatic pullouts, Richard Tolkien on the vintage IMOCA 60 Finnair was rescued by a cargo ship after taking a dangerous blow to the head during maneuvers. And race ambassador Loïc Perron also called it quits with severe damages on Iran Tabarly's historic Penduic 2.
Discrimination, unfair practices, corruption. Professional sports are today under greater scrutiny than ever before, and World Sailing, as an International Olympic Committee member and authority for the discipline, has announced it now wants to set the example, starting out by cleaning up its own house. Claudia Casagrande has the story.
Sailing World's governing body has announced a 2-year roadmap aimed at fulfilling the good governance measures introduced by the Association of Summer Olympic International Federations. The plan was unveiled at the organization's mid-year meeting in Lausanne and called for an overhaul in governance following a year marred by scandals throughout the sporting world. Addressing the council, President Carlo Clea'ch agreed that change and progress are needed and that the new measures will enable world sailing to become more professional, efficient, and effective. Among the first modifications to the Constitution is a name change for the Executive Committee to Board of Directors of the Federation. The Secretariat will become the Executive Office, and the Athletes Committee will now be a permanent voting member on the Board of Directors. CEO Andy Hunt hailed the roadmap as a real opportunity for Sailing World to be a leading and progressive international federation.
The world's top stand-up paddlers fight it out in Hayama. Taylor Canfield meets a new enemy in Denmark for the World Match Racing Tour. And Slovenia grabs the win on the RC44s in Sotogrande. Full recaps next on the NC Sports Briefs.
Casper Steinfath and Angela Jackson took top honors at the 2016 Stand-Up World Series season opener in Hamaya, Japan. After finishing third in the long distance, Steinfath edged out Hawaiian sensations Kai Lenny and Mo Freitas in an intense three-way battle in the sprints to finish first overall. A regular in the series top 5, the Victoria Cup is the Danes' first ever World Series win. 2014 title holder Connor Baxter secured the number 2 spot on the podium after winning the long distance and placing 5th in the sprints, and with a second, 2015 champ Kai Lenny finished 3rd overall. In the women's camp, Angela Jackson took the sprint after placing 2nd in the long distance, while distance winner Fiona Wilde also closed 2nd in the sprints, creating a technical tie. But time calculations ultimately handed the overall win to Jackson. 2015 world champion Candice Appleby finished 3rd in the distance and the sprint for a number 3 spot on the podium. From the shadows of Mount Fuji, the series heads to Scharbeutz, Germany for Stop 2 from June 24th to 26th.
Taylor Canfield and the USOne crew sealed the key victory last weekend in Copenhagen with a 3-0 in the final against the Spanish sailing superstar Iker Martinez, a new and already very dangerous entry on the World Match Racing Tour.
We're pushing all the way along and they were pushing back, so it's a very tough racetrack, and we were just trying to stay in the pressure and stay between him and the marks was really important, and he managed to make a couple good passes on us, and it was a very tricky track, and those guys are sailing the boats well for their first event. So.
With the 16 M32 Cats on the water, match racing in Copenhagen offered plenty of upsets and surprises, starting with the climb to the final by the highly experienced Martinez, 49er gold in Beijing 2008, and the VOR veteran. Niklas Daghammer from Sweden nailed the petit finale for third place ahead of another newcomer, Frenchman Jan Guichard, and the Spindrift squad. Best results so far for the all-female team Magenta, led by American Sally Barco, with a 6th place and one step ahead of multiple match racing world champ Ian Williams.
As Walker rolls up and over the top, I don't think they're going to lay down to the bottom. Maybe there's a gust.
Wait up, wait up, wait up, wait up!
The 2016 RC44 World Championship wrapped up last weekend in Sotogrande, Spain, with a dramatic duel between Slovenian Igor Laz team Ceeref and local hero John Bassadone's Peninsula Petroleum from Gibraltar. The two crews were neck and neck early in the final day and then remained in 3rd and 4th until the final, when Ceeref clinched the ultimate win by 3 points. Among the America's Cup winners and Olympic champions competing in this second regatta of the 26th season were defending world champion Vladimir Prosikin and Nika, Vladimir Lyubomirov and Russian team Boronosek, Torbjorn Tornquist and Artemidas Racing, and Hugh Lepik and Aleph, all of whom won individual races during the 4-day event. The championship continues July 13th to 17th with the Portsmouth Cup in the UK.
Wright defeats Sally Fitzgibbons for the win at the Rio Pro and leaps to number 1. Looks or talent? Against the stereotyping of women in surfing. Take an ocean safari. It's happening now, only on Nautical Channel. Don't go away. We'll be right back after the break. The women's WSL Rio Pro came to an end last Tuesday as the top-ranked filled the quarter and semi-final roster with few surprises in store. Tricky conditions in Brazil with small waves and irregular sets conditioned the entire competition. This didn't stop Tyler Wright, new number 1 at the expense of Courtney Conlog, and now clearly the woman to beat on the WSL Tour.
Tyler Wright is on a roll, packing a 3rd victory in Brazil out of just 4 events on the WSL Women's Championship Tour. The Australian pro has now become the woman to beat in this highly competitive 2016 season. After breezing through the rounds and pushing back France's Joanne Defay in the quarters, as well as world champ Carissa Moore in the semis, Wright sealed the deal in the final against fellow Aussie Sally Fitzgibbons with a heat total of 13.67. The waves did not cooperate this year at the Rio Pro, and pulling off high scores became an even greater challenge.
Actually, I'm just tired now. I'm hungry, I'm tired. I got so flogged, so did Sal on that last one. I swear our lungs were like filling up with water every time we fell off a wave, and it was hard work, I'm not gonna lie. And it's funny because I'm stoked, but it's like, do you know when you're on that point of tired and hungry that you get like eggy? Yeah. So I'm on that point, but I really am happy.
Sally Fitzgibbons also moved swiftly up the ladder, defeating Hawaii's Malia Manuel in her quarterfinal, and then narrowingly beating the US's Courtney Conalog by just 0.10 and bumping her off the #1 spot on the rankings. Fitzgibbons still can't break that second place spell when it comes to winning key finals. While grabbing valuable points in Rio, this also remains a major upset for Carissa Moore and especially Stephanie Gilmore, as both multiple world champs are still struggling to find their winning performances. All eyes on the men's Rio Pro now in its final heats, and with the huge and powerful Brazilian squad set on a strong comeback at home after the poor seasonal start down under. No lack of talented candidates to challenge Australia's newfound #1, Matt Wilkinson, including man of the hour Leonardo Fioravanti from Italy. Absent in Brazil, Kelly Slater, Joel Parkinson, Mick Fanning, and more injured pros like Owen Wright. So this stopover remains an open game, offering a whole different panorama on this year's WSL Men's Tour.
With the big changes happening on the men's tour and less familiar champs to drive the prestige of the WSL, women's surfing has been taking a lot of the media's attention these days. No doubt, the level of the competition has grown enormously over the last few years, in great part thanks to the new icons like Stephanie Gilmore and Carissa Moore. But is it about the surfing, or is it about the looks? Making waves in a recent interview with BBC, Silvana Lima, the only Brazilian surfer in the major league, reportedly complained she could not find sponsors to sustain her pro career on tour because she didn't have the classic model qualities needed by top brand marketing gurus. On a totally different position is a lower-ranked female surfer, Anastasia Ashley, who has built a career as a surfer model and defends her choice, stating she does not feel objectified at all. The debate, as you can imagine, is ongoing, and Nautical Channel will be following the discussion. Nautical Channel is always striving to bring you the very best features and series as a part of its regular programming. No exception with the second episode of Ocean Safari. And this time, Andy Van Zyl is on a new adventure to Kilifi Creek, a diverse marine ecosystem on Kenya's coastline. Here, she will learn to sail and navigate the creek solo and really get the feel for the location. She'll also meet Kevin, an experienced local sailor who patiently teaches her the skills she needs in just 3 days. Will she complete her mission? Find out in a brand new premiere of Ocean Safari, airing Monday, June 6th at 9 p.m. The XCAT World Series returns to Europe. The Mocha 60s are back in the Atlantic, but this time west to east, while match racers head to Newport. Plenty happening on the NC Sports calendar.
The XCAT World Series heads to Lugano, Switzerland for a third round of racing June 4th and 5th in what will be the season's first showdown on flat water. Back-to-back winners in Fujairah and Dubai, Team Victory's unstoppable duo Al Zafane and Bill Handy currently lead the series with 86 points, trailed by Sweetcat Racing and Dubai 33 with 55 and 51 points respectively. 17 skippers from 7 countries will line up under the Statue of Liberty on May 29th for the start of the New York Vendée Les Sables. This fourth leg of the IMOCA Ocean Masters World Championship is the final chance for sailors looking to qualify for the Vendée Globe starting in November. Armel Leclerc, Vincent Rioux, Jeremy Bayou, Alex Thompson, Sebastian Joss, and Conrad Coleman, the only American skipper, will be among those seeking the win in the 3,050 nautical mile offshore solo regatta. After a spectacular showdown in Copenhagen, the World Match Racing Tour moves on to its fourth and penultimate leg in Newport, Rhode Island, from May 30th to June 4th. The stakes will be high, as only those finishing in the top 20 will advance to the World Finals in Maastrand, Sweden in July. With a cool $1 million seasonal cash prize up for grabs, this year's tour has sparked intense competition from frontrunners like Taylor Canfield, fresh off 2 consecutive wins, Iker Martinez, and 6-time world champ Ian Williams, winner of Leg 1.
Time's up for today, but we'll be back next week, of course, with all the latest breaking news and insight from the world's oceans. But first, I'll leave you with some fresh footage just in from the ICF Para Canoe World Championship happening now in Duisburg. It's a quest for gold that starts in Germany, but will continue very soon during the Summer Games in Rio. I'm Mia Charan, and remember, plunge into the action with NC Sports.